Hey guys, welcome back. Better Than a Let's Play, episode 8. This is our second episode with the MoonQuest pack. I'm Enigmius, and today, Central Facilities. Again, we're doing the accelerated tour, trying to get things up to speed, get caught up to where we were before we made the transition. We're looking down the staircase from the top. It's good if you're going to look down to, be at the top. And I've been hard at work trying to get things squared away. Now, just to clarify, I mentioned in the last episode, but also I'll just quickly mention it here. Because we weren't really using or getting use out of the stuff that we had made in the previous mod pack, I feel no reservation or guilt about, pretending they were on a pack mule and we just kind of brought them over. So things like stone and glass that just not hard to get but take a long time to smelt in any quantity. Building materials like that, basic tools, torches, food, things that I had that I don't really want to spend the time to grind for again. That would include our thermal expansion machines, and when we get modular power suits installed again, our tinker table and our basic gear pieces. I'm not going to go and deck them all out because we didn't have it in the previous iteration, but in terms of grinding to replace things that we just barely got made in the last world, I don't think it's necessary, so I'm not going to do it. Just saying. Now, we got to get sort of set up and established so we can carry on with all the cool things in this mod pack. As you can see, I don't know if you can see it, way down there, there's a section of the wall where there's a shadow. And you can see also that the torches aren't spaced uniformly. So being the derp that I am, rather than just going and fixing the torches, I decided to just put a door here. So that anything that spawns in that shadow and decides to climb up the stairs can't get through when I'm over there doing stuff. So, as far as the central facility goes, you can see we've got a smelter up to the side there, and oh! Fooled you. It's glass. It's glass with connected textures you can't even see, except for when you mouse over and see the black outline on the block. But at a time-lapse of the building of this shenanigan, so take a look. So for this build, I didn't want to do anything too elaborate, I didn't want to do anything too large, in part because we're basically starting over the series, 8 episodes in, and I don't want it to be too repetitious doing the same things, and then when they're done, just stop and do them over again. That's not very nice. But at the same time, I don't want something that's not going to be very interesting. So I was thinking very much of doing another circle, and I realized, I do a lot of circles. And after a point, even circles become kind of dull. So I decided to do something a little bit different this time. We still have access to microblocks. Forge Multipart is a part of this mod pack. But it's just, like, we're way up in the sky right now. It's kinda, I don't want to say it's a problem, it's just a consideration when we're building, because falling means dead. And that's just the beginning and the end of that whole discussion. I don't have anything to absorb the damage from a fall from this height. So I have to be a little bit cautious. Anything that I want to do involving, temporary platforms or nerd poles comes with some risk if monsters should happen to spawn, specifically skeletons and or creepers, because, particularly the skeleton, because they can do their knockback thing more than once. Creeper, if you survive the first one, he's dead, he's gone. But with the skeleton, if he gets a bead on you and you can't get to him or get to cover, it's game over. It's just, you're done from this height. So I have to kind of make that decision. Someday I'm either going to log in, I'm going to go like balls to the wall to build something that will allow me to survive the fall and or fly, or we're going to set up the necessary platform around the outside edges so that I can finish them off and get the design done the way that I want it to be done, so that we can call this structure complete and move on to other things. So it's going to be one or the other. Now you can see we've got a door there out sort of the front. Eventually, that will be an open landing area, so when I do have access to flight, whether it's from an airship or a modular power suits thing, I'll have a place that I can land with easy direct access to the inside of this sort of observatory area, as opposed to a door somewhere on the side of the mountain or concealed somewhere that doesn't necessarily make sense. So I was thinking a little bit ahead in terms of the way that would work out. but that it'll be another modification, slight modification to the structure when the time comes. Now these bricks that are going down now are made with the chisel mod, I think. I don't even know if it's a chisel mod, because you can make chisels with Tinker's Construct. I don't know. It's a chisel thing. You take a block of stone, you use a chisel on it, and it turns into some sort of brick, and then you use the chisel again on that brick, and it turns into this fancy stone brick. And I did a little bit of homework beforehand to make sure that after I had placed it, I would be able to finish the design by cutting that same kind of fancy stone brick into covers and slabs and panels, so that we can do the smoothing and stuff with the micro blocks, and that's not going to be a problem. So again, it's just a matter of, you know, getting off my duff and getting it done. But we're still, I mean, we're super early game, so setting myself up to finish on the the building isn't the highest priority. Getting myself squared away so that we can start accumulating resources again and processing them into useful things, that's kind of the goal. So our pack mule was kind enough to not only bring us all of our seared bricks from the other facility, he actually dismantled the smeltery for us and brought us all the seared bricks and scaffolding and the things that we needed to get it done. I've set this up to be even more high volume than the last one by adding more drains and more spouts, so that if I want to, I can be pouring 6 blocks of ore, smelted ore at a time, or 3 castings, shaped castings of whatever I want to do, whether it's ingots or, you know, whatever, and even more if I wanted to just swap around the casting basins with the tables and all that other stuff. I mean, the main point is that I'm trying to make use of as much of this space as possible in the most useful ways possible, and that means having drains on them as opposed to just bricks and glass and things like that. So the thing with this smeltery is that as long as you've got room to keep building up, you can add more capacity to it. And I'm very much the kind of guy, if I've got a stack and a half of iron that I want to smelt, if I can do it all now, that's what I want to do. So adding more height up until the point where either the game won't let me build any higher or the mod stops recognizing the space available to smelt is probably going to be an ongoing thing with me. But I don't necessarily want to enclose the entire thing in a structure, because then that means you're putting a roof on it and you're basically saying, okay, I'm not going to add any more. It's like voluntarily capping the height, and I don't want to do that. So what I've done is I've built a glass ceiling that merges with the sides of the smelter. You can see down there on the same level as that top layer of the chiseled fancy stone brick things. And then if I want to get out and do some work, I can knock out a piece of glass, go do what I need to do, climb up the scaffolding, go back down, replace the glass. Bob's your uncle. I could put a trap door in the glass too. It's a thing. Either way, we're going to be able to expand it, but if you recall in the last episode in the old facility, we were 3 or 4 courses, 3 or 4 layers away from not being able to add any more without removing a section of the roof. So we've kind of taken that into account with the building of this as well. So that puts us in a place where we've got basic ore processing or doubling via the smeltery. It's roofed in here. More glass, a lot of glass in here, because I like the fact that we've got this fantastic view. We can look up, we can see the moon, but we've also got a spot where monsters are free to spawn, and then they just kind of jump down this hole in here and they start creating problems. So I used glass to put in a roof, and I have the scaffolding here so that I can, in future, climb up and add more to the smeltery if I want to. But really, we're good for now. I think we're in pretty good shape. It's about the size of the last one. I added in a few extra drains and spouts here so we can do 6 blocks of metal at a time and 3 castings of whatever. If we want to do ingots or tool components, we can do that. We've got this area around the outside that is, see, this is glass. I'm trying to walk forward, and this is what it looks like when I'm trying to walk forward. I kind of wanted to wall this off, and then I've got this area in behind where I can put cables and things like that. I don't necessarily want to hide them because I think they add interest if it's set up properly, but not having proper walls in here with the glass outer walls, I decided I would do like this back area where I can run cables and conduits and ducts and whatever I need to do, that won't interfere with the central area, just make it a little bit easier. And then out here, actually, you can see I've got a door. This will eventually be an open landing, so that when I have access to flight, I can land here and get into the base this way, where it's lit and easily controlled, as opposed to trying to find a place to put another door or a hole on top of the mountain. So that's the whole idea behind what's going on here. The bulk of the machines and things of that nature are actually going to go below. They're not going to be visible. I don't want to clutter this area up because I really like the way it's shaping up now, where it's just very clean. It's got that neat sort of observatory feel to it. But there's a lot of machines that we need to bring into play when we're talking about building rocket ships and all the equipment that we need for that. We can build airships and all the stuff that we need for that. We can do missiles. We can do all kinds of crazy stuff. We're going to need tanks for probably lava, as well as fuel for our rockets. The list of things is fantastic. I don't want to make it sound like I'm complaining, but we need tanks to store those liquids. We need room for the machines. We need room for the power generation. We need room for all these other things. So we're going to tuck a lot of that out of the way. And in doing so, we're going to actually use up probably a fairly good chunk of the inside of this mountain. So from the outside, all you're really going to see is the landing where the staircase turns around. We saw that last episode. The observatory with the smeltery and whatever's in the observatory. And then there's going to be a row of tanks along the outside of the mountain somewhere, because I think that would look kind of neat as well. And then everything else will be concealed inside. So really straightforward. It's not going to be this super mega build, crazy elaborate nonsense, and then spend all of our time elsewhere on the moon or on Mars or Mistcraft Ages or wherever the hell we end up going. It's going to be really Spartan, but I think we're on the right track. That's what I've been up to. Really straightforward, just trying to get this stuff built. And like I say, once I get either the motivation to go out and do it on nerd polls and nerd platforms, or flight, whichever comes first, we will be doing more detail work on the outside to make it more in line with how I like to do things, because we do have Forge Multipart as part of this mod pack as well. And I don't want to be doing this kind of blocky, chunky stuff if I can avoid it. So, next episode, we're going to get some machines in place. In here, we're going to get our processing up and running. I'll do some mining off camera, get some resources available to us. We'll start taking a look at what we need to do, some of the cool projects we'll be doing, whether it's, we might do the airship first, just for the sake of exploring, but then we've got all the machines that are necessary to power the space end of things, and stuff, plus things and more stuff. So leave your comments and feedback below. If you want to be notified when I add that next video, easiest way to do that is to subscribe to my channel, or you can follow me on Twitter at Enigmius1 or on Google++ Enigmius1. Thanks for watching, everybody, and take care!